Good afternoon and welcome. Welcome indeed, yes, to another edition of the Mark Mosley Show podcast as we talk all things sports here on the coast in Central Florida. And joining me right now here on the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios is my great friend, basketball coach Billy Mims. And as usual, we got much to discuss. Coach, how you doing today, buddy?
Well, I'm a little bit tired from a long weekend where I was up in Charleston, South Carolina, celebrating with my daughter. It was her wedding weekend. So,
Nice.
those wedding weekends can be quite long at times, but we had a wonderful time. Everything went off perfectly. So I'm back home in Florida and ready to start talking basketball with my friend Mark Moses.
Well, congratulations to you and your family, right, on a great weekend. I saw some of the photos. The photos are key if you don't know this. You got to get those photos. You got to post them. It's very key. For any wedding, you got to post them. And I imagine, I told you this joke, I imagine as the father of the bride, you just like, all right, well, that costs this much, and that costs that much. Now, I know you're having a great time, but you're also like someone's eating steak, and you're like, that cost me this much. Is that what was going on in your mind, buddy?
Oh, I'm telling you, the entire weekend is one big tally sheet. You've got a calculator in your pocket, and you're just constantly going, okay, what are we up to now? What are we up to now?
Yeah, enjoy that wine, bucko, because, yeah. Oh, it's cool real quick. She was on the marquee, like an old school movie theater marquee. Of everything that happened, that impressed you because you sent me the photo. You loved it.
That was so cool. I mean, I said it looked like Bogey and Bacall, like up there on the marquee. And the photographer took a great picture of Courtney and Jeff that night when it was up in lights. And they were like, she had them like running hand in hand from the theater with the marquee in the background. And she did it in black and white. So it looked like something from an old movie. But the other thing that was so cool too, it's Charleston, which is a very historic city. And so my wife and I worked really hard and we made arrangements for a horse-drawn carriage to bring them from where they were staying or from where Courtney was staying to the chapel for the wedding. And when the wedding was over, they got in the carriage and took the carriage through downtown Charleston to the reception site. So people along the street were waving at them, cheering on them, and taking pictures of them. Then they pull up to the theater and they see their name in lights. So, I mean, it was a pretty impressive wedding, if I have to say so.
That's really awesome. I know your parents watch our segment as well. So I hope your parents had a great time. It was right in their backyard. I hope they had a blast at this as well. Okay.
My mom had a wonderful time at the wedding, and she, for the grandmother at the wedding, and one of the oldest people at the wedding, you would have thought that she would have gotten very tired. My mom can hang with the best of them. Okay.
Oh yeah.
She went upstairs for all the first dances, and she was a star. So after the first dance between the newly married couple, then the groom had a dance with his mother, the mother-son dance, and then the father-daughter dance. My mom's there filming and watching all of these, and somebody said, let's get the grandmother dance, and the whole entourage there started cheering, "Grandma, Grandma, Grandma." So I thought by then she would have been well on her way home, but she stayed for almost the entire event. And I tell you, she was a star on the evening. So hats off to Grandma.
Oh, yeah. She's probably thinking, yeah, that's great. It's your wedding day. Now it's time for the real star to shine on the dance floor. That's what I think. Okay. Did you get a chance to dance with her? Come on.
Oh, I danced with the bride. That's the thing. The father-daughter dance. Yeah. That was the thing. And we danced to one of my favorites. It's called Butterfly Kisses. And it's a song about a father and talking about his daughter when she's very young, very little, and, raising a young daughter. and there's these little things they call butterfly kisses, the little peck from the daughter to the father, father to the daughter. And it's just a beautiful little song. It's a great song for a father seeing his daughter grow up, giving away for marriage now at the wedding, but remembering those moments that seem so far away now, those moments when she was just a little girl and you were both exchanging those butterfly kisses at night before going to bed.
That is very nice. When I get married in the year 2079, my mother will still be alive, and we'll dance to like Rolling Stones or the Doors or something. That's what we're going to do. Okay. Let's get to some basketball. And again, congratulations to your family. That's awesome.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, so while you're having fun, I was at the Kia Center last Friday night where they scored 19 points in the second half. I don't know what the hell I was watching. I remember turning to a guy sitting by me, and I'm thinking in the press box, which you and me have sat there before. And I'm like, they only got 12 points right now. I remember yelling, like, they got 12 points. They only got 14 points. What? That was a disaster. And then Sunday was just like, well, they're going to lose. And they did. I mean, all this has happened in 1 week. They were up 3-1. They were up 3-1. And then they lose 3 in a row, and the coach is fired. So I want to start there with you. What were your thoughts when you saw Jamahl Mosley was let go on Monday?
Well, I mean, I got to say this. I think it was probably very close. To me, it feels like that decision was something that was on the fence. I know a lot of the season, the fans have been talking about it. I know there are people at games, and you always get this as a pro coach in any sport. There's going to be somebody, some idiot in the crowd is going to be shouting, fire the coach, fire the coach. But so it's been brewing, I think, maybe all season long. And at times this season, when they were dealing with a lot of injuries to star players, Franz Wagner, who is certainly one of their stars, missed a lot of this season with injury. And you don't become an 8 seed in the playoffs, maybe if those players aren't injured as often as they were this year. So injury certainly played a big part in the final decision. But I'll also say this, even as when they looked really, really good going to Detroit, winning game 1 in Detroit, and all of a sudden looking like, wow, they have control of this series. They can do this thing. Going up 3-1 in the series, I truly believe that had it been competitive in every game to the end, every single game, he might not have been fired because they were showing signs, even with injury still being a factor, they were showing signs of turning the corner, of becoming that team. Like you and I said, the Pistons were probably going, wow, the Magic are the 8 seed. We don't want to play that 8 seed. Give us anybody else. Because down the stretch, they had the feel of a team that was turning it around. Yeah, they had a few losses down the stretch that were bad losses. I think what took it over the top was what you just started the show with, that embarrassing second half at home in Game 6. You have an 18-point halftime lead, a dominant first half of play, and all of a sudden, you turn around in the second half and not only blow the lead, but finish in an embarrassing style. You were talking about looking up, they only have 12 points. They only have 14 points. I remember they went 8 minutes, the first 8 minutes of the critical fourth quarter, scoring 1 point. They didn't hit a field goal in the first 8 minutes of the fourth quarter on their own floor. What gets me is, how can you be a team that has won 3 games in this series and have that abysmal a second half performance when it mattered most on your home floor? So I believe it might have been sitting on the table, Mark, right on the fence, so to speak, on the net, like that serve in tennis that sits there on top of the net, and you're not really sure which way the ball's going to fall. I believe management was sitting on that net with the decision. But all of a sudden, the great, great star of the tennis courts comes out of nowhere and slams it past you. And all of a sudden, it doesn't fall to one side. It's like an ace that just blew past you at 100 miles an hour. And that's what I think happened to Jamahl Mosley. It was so bad. You can't be embarrassed at home in a critical game at home, game 6 against the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and you die like that. You roll over and die like that.
If you would have just played average basketball, you win the game. Just average. It was the weirdest feeling in person because, all right, so halftime, it was 60-38. Detroit had 38 points. No, it's okay.
I said 18. You're right. It was a 22-point.
And it got to 20. It got to 24. So it's the weirdest thing. It's like an avalanche. 60-38. They had 38 points at halftime. And then it's like the tortoise and the hare kind of, where it went like, and at one point it became 72-72. And when they tied it, I said, the game is over. I'm not kidding. I said, it's 72 pieces. It was over. Because then all of a sudden, Cade Cunningham started going to the free throw line, and they kept getting easy buckets. So it was 60-38, 72-70. And then you looked up again, and the Pistons have 90 points, and the Magic still had 72. Dude, I have seen all levels of basketball. You've done this longer than me. I've never seen anything like that before. Never. 19 points and a half. It is a record low in a playoff game. Ever. All the history of basketball. Ever. But here's my thing. You could blame Mosley, and I think he's the fall guy, and I think that's the final nail in the coffin. Mm-hmm. But where are the players? Don't you have pride? Don't you? That shows in that half. These players collectively are young and talented. They don't know how to win.
Right.
They don't know how to win. Do you feel that way?
Oh, I agree 100%, Mark. And I've said this to you many, many times in our conversations as friends, in our conversations at games we've attended together, and on your show. Yeah. With the Magic lead. And I know they brought in Desmond Bane to sort of be this guy, but he really isn't. Yes, he's a talented player. Yes, he gave them some slightly veteran leadership this year, but he's not the veteran guy that knows how to win in big-time playoff environments. They still just don't have that. They have a group of young bucks that have talent, but wow, when they are tested, when they are challenged, and when their back is up against the wall, they showed last week they laid down. They don't have the leadership it takes to stand up and win when everything is mounting up against them. They quit. They laid down. They failed.
I've not been able to tell you this story yet, so I'm going to tell it to you now. So after the game, I go, behind the scenes, you go by the locker rooms and where the press conference area is. You know where it is, but I'm just telling Star viewers here. So I go by the Pistons locker room, and I saw them go into the locker room. Those guys were so excited. They were hyped. They're screaming and cheering and high-fiving and swearing. Yes, we got them. We did. They believed. And remember, they're a franchise as a core. They don't know how to win either. But that was the breakthrough for them. And they knew they had the Magic on the ropes, and they broke them. And you saw last night, the Pistons played great against Cleveland. I think they're going to beat Cleveland in 5 games now. They're going to kill them. That was one of those moments, and I called my dad after the game. I'm like, nah, it's over. They're not winning Sunday. They're not. They broke them in that game.
The Magic had every opportunity they could ever dream of. They're up 3-1. At this point, 3-2. They were up 3-2 at this point. Game 6, right? You're in game 6. You're up 3-2. You're at home in front of an amazing crowd. You dominate the first 24 minutes of play. You're up 60-38, 22-point lead, as you said, that ballooned in the third quarter to a 24-point lead. And then their offense just died. They couldn't make a shot to save their life on their home floor. That is just unheard of, Mark. There has to be a play somewhere in your system that you think this is our go-to guy, this is our go-to set. We're either going to make a shot or we're going to get fouled. And you've got to say, look, we haven't scored in 5 or 6 minutes here, haven't made a field goal. 8 minutes in the fourth quarter without a field goal. You got to come together and you sit down and say, calm down. It's okay, guys. We're still at home. We still have a chance. This game ain't over yet. What we need now is we really need to come together and execute an offensive set that will guarantee us points. And I never saw that, Mark. There was, people have said a lot about Mosley not being very good with timeouts, not calling timeouts at the right time to stop a run, to deny momentum, to change the flow of the game. Well, that's always one thing. When you're in a barrage, like it was in Game 6 in the second half, you don't have enough timeouts to halt it. But when you're 22 up at halftime, you've got to go into that locker room and say, guys, a lot of times games can be won in the first half. You might be thinking right now, we're 22 up at home. This game's over. We've won this game. But guys, this is the number 1 seed in the East. We have embarrassed them in this playoffs already. They will come out in the second half with pride. They will come out with everything they have. We have to make the second half, and this is an old adage, has to be 0-0. When we walk out there, we're not up 22 points. It's 0-0. Let's just go out there and compete for the next 24 minutes. If we do that, we will advance to the second round and shock the world. But they didn't. They didn't compete at all, Mark. Not a moment of the second half. It was, the old proverbial, the great literary work of achievement, A Tale of Two Cities. And a lot of times coaches say it was a tale of two halves. This absolutely was a tale of two halves because the first half was so different than the second half. I don't believe it. I've seen things change in my career. I don't believe I've ever seen one change that much, that quickly, that badly. I mean, from a team in a dominant first half performance, as you said, just go out and play average basketball for an NBA team in the second half. I would have gone to some more zones. I would have tried to slow the tempo of the game up. I would have done some more trapping to make certain players give the ball up. There's a lot of things you can do to disrupt the opponent when you run out of timeouts or if you're trying to save some of those timeouts. But to stop a run, to stop a barrage, a flood, a deluge like the second half was, you've got to change the tempo of the game. And there are ways to do that. You can press some. You can trap some. You can change up and do some zones. You can go half zone, half man. What about a team coming down the floor and they see you in zone for the first 10, 12 seconds, and after the second or third pass they make, you shift, you morph into man-to-man. That anything like that, any possibility like that could have created some turnovers, some poor shot selection, maybe some easy baskets. And we've talked about this a lot on your show too. Wow. During that barrage, the Pistons got a lot of easy baskets.
Yeah.
The Magic had to earn everything they got, and they didn't. The Pistons made it tough. They made the shots tough for the Magic. They couldn't make shots. And then the last thing I'll say on this is when you're not making shots, why aren't you spreading the floor and driving? Attack the paint, attack the rim. Make it a physical, offensively aggressive, physical second half. Drive it. Because maybe if you get in there, get knocked down a few times and make some free throws, then maybe you'll start making some field goals. I didn't see an aggressive offensive or defensive Orlando Magic in the second half. And to be totally honest, Mark, what I saw in the second half was fear in the eyes of the Magic. They knew they were going down. They didn't have any answers to fix it. And they just felt like there's nothing we can do to change this outcome. And you watch them. That's when they rolled over, played dead, and got their butts kicked.
And that's why Mosley lost his job after what you just, because look, you just threw at me 10 different things to try in the moment, and they just laid down. It's such a what if. It's such a, because you know what? They should have closed that game out, and we'd be talking round 2 right now against Cleveland.
Hey, there's another thing that's said often in the coaching circles, right? And it's just a great quote, a great adage from life, right? But we see it in sports and coaching and players all the time. What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and over and hoping for a different outcome. That's insanity. What you do to get a different outcome is you change what you're doing. Because if what you're doing isn't getting you the outcome you're looking for, then you got to change what you're doing. In the second half of that game, when it started going south and things weren't going their way, there weren't a lot of obvious changes. It was kind of like, well, let's just keep doing what we did in the first quarter and see if it will carry us to the end. No, it's not working anymore. What you did in the first quarter is history. It's over. It's gone. What are you doing now? What are you doing now? And they kept doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result, and they got the definition of insanity.
And it cost someone their job, and he had to be the fall guy. I don't blame him for everything. I don't. Some of the construction of the roster I blame from the front office. And I've told you this all year. There were too many times the offense is 4-on-5 because the point guard position, and it's multiple players, it's not NBA level. It's not, and they're struggling to get buckets after a while. You need this. This reminds me of Shaq. What did you go get Shaq? You got him a Penny Hardaway, right? Hey, Shaq had Kobe Bryant as well. You got to get someone in the backcourt that will put the fear of God in the other team. And I like you brought up Desmond Bane. Bane's a great player. He's a third option on an offense. Who are we kidding here? And he disappeared in game 6 and 7. He did. I get it. These players I'm talking about do not grow on trees. You can't just go to the grocery store and pick them up. But this is my question for you. Whoever's the next coach, is it the number one job to get this offense to the next level? Is that what they need to do to start winning playoff series?
Yeah, and again, I think the next coach is going to inherit a good situation. I know that sounds funny, right? Because people say, oh my God, they've lost 2 game 7s in 3 years. Yeah, but they got to 2 game 7s in 3 years. And what? There's less than 200 game 7s in the entirety of the NBA history book. So they got to 2 game 7s. They lost them. There are a lot of teams in the NBA that haven't been to a single game 7 in the last decade. So the Magic they've got young, tremendously talented kids that have a bright, bright future, right? They're getting there, but it's like, I also think Jamahl Mosley was the unfortunate, like you said, he was the fall guy, but I also believe that sometimes you face unrealistic expectations because you're on this path, but some management, some fans, some people think that you are supposed to jump onto a jet plane to get from one floor of the hotel to the next floor. No, you're actually on a slow elevator or you're climbing the stairwell. That takes time. And I believe that the Magic need time. I've always said in the past, the mistakes the Magic have made is they had great young talent. And then all of a sudden they traded away. And they traded this guy away. They traded Aaron Gordon away. They traded Nikola Vucevic away. You can look back and back and back deeper, farther in history. And you see the guys, the great talent, they trade away. They trade away. You got to stay with those young bucks. You got to develop them. Now what you need, you have one more opportunity to bring in a coach that's going to relate really, really well to those young bucks, that they're going to believe in, that they're going to follow, that they're going to say, this coach is my guy, and he's going to take us to the promised land. So you have that one chance now to change a coach without changing all of your personnel and getting rid of the young talent that you've so meticulously been developing to take that major step. Also, second thing, what they do need, they don't need wholesale changes. They have one of the best young teams in the league. What they need is two things: that new coach with the proper vision, and two, they need a couple of really, really veteran players who've been there, who've been to the NBA Finals, who might have won an NBA championship, who've won a conference championship. You get where I'm going?
Yeah.
Where do they have that right now? They don't. So when it gets in deep into the playoffs, or even early in the playoffs for them these last couple of years, when it's a game 7 on the line, they don't have that veteran leadership that's been there, done that, and wears the T-shirt.
It's a great point. Remember, they brought in Caldwell Pope from Denver. The problem is he was completely washed up, and he couldn't hit a shot.
Well, and again, I don't look at it, and no offense to Caldwell Pope, okay? He's not a star. I think the Magic need a veteran star. Look at what Cleveland did this year. They brought in James Harden.
Yeah.
And whether you love him or hate him, James Harden is a legitimate Hall of Fame candidate, right? And he's a star. He's been a star in this league for years. And he walks in and he brings something to that roster, to that bench, to that team, that confidence, that he walks the walk, he talks the talk in the locker room. Where's that with the Orlando Magic? Who's walking the walk? Who's talking the talk? Who's been there? Who has the experience, the know-how? This is what it takes, guys. Playoff basketball is different than the regular season. Way, way, way different. In the NBA regular season, all it's there for is to give guys the perfect opportunity to develop themselves over the course of 82 games and to place themselves in a position that gives them an opportunity in the postseason, the good position to be in. You don't have to finish first. You don't have to be the number 1 seed, but put yourself in a position. I always think the best seed to be is 2 or 3, because you won't play 1 until the conference finals if you're in seeds 2 or 3. I like those positions. But by the same token, you could easily say seeds 6 and 7 are pretty good to be in too. So you don't want to be seed 4 or 5, and you don't want to be seed 8. That's where you don't want to be. But that's what the regular season's all about. When it comes to the postseason, it's a different league. It's a different mentality.
And you know what?
You know what? They say real men don't eat quiche. I'm going to tell you this. Real men show up in the postseason.
I tell you this joke all the time. The players hate the playoffs because they got to play now. There's no more load management. There's no I don't know about today. And I don't know. No. You got to play. And if you don't show up, you're going to get destroyed by everyone, because everyone's watching you now. That's very good. Sometimes players are like, no, get back to December. That's what it is, dude.
And you know what? I'll tell you something else I believe. I believe Jamahl Mosley is the sacrificial lamb for where the Magic are at this moment in time. But I also believe he's done enough in his tenure there. He's going to get another job.
Yeah, he deserves it.
One of these other jobs that's open right now might already be saying, Jamahl, can we get you up here to talk to you?
I agree. He deserves another job. He's going to get it. I don't think he'll take a year off like some of these other guys do to do TV. No, I think he's going to be look, was it him out there shooting 1 for 95 like Jalen Suggs did? No, right? Was it him getting injured like Franz Wagner? No. Was it Paulo shooting 4 for 18 in some of the home games? No. What do you want?
He is just like his team in one sense, right? They have a young team. Jamahl was a first-time head coach in the NBA. He'd never been an NBA head coach prior to taking the Magic job. So that takes some development too. He's on a learning process, just like his players. His young talent has been on a learning process in the NBA. Paolo Banchero's coming in, learning about the NBA. Jalen Suggs coming in, learning about the NBA. Well, the head coach that they're learning from is learning about being an NBA head coach. Maybe that is what didn't marry up for the Magic and Jamahl Mosley. Maybe they should have gone with a veteran NBA head coach simply because they had such a young roster.
Remember, they had Steve Clifford, right? And he was a veteran coach who could win. They got to the playoffs multiple times. Then the front office said, we're trading everyone. We're starting over. And Clifford said, I don't want to be a part of that, right? I love your insanity analogy. I love it so much. You know what it is like Mosley? And by the way, I like Mosley. I always liked him. He was there for 5 years. If he just would have broken through and won a playoff series, then he'd know, I don't know. You know what? Just be happy you weren't there for that game 6. Okay. Just be happy. All right. And then what was funny was like, they come out game 7 when you were at a wedding. That was more important. Okay. So they come out, Paolo scores 12 points by himself. He's up 12-11 on Detroit. And Detroit's like, well, wait a minute. If he's the only one who's going to show up, 5 of us could beat one guy. And that's what happened after a while. Okay.
The amount of times that you and I have seen, whether it's Paolo, whether it's Jalen, whether it's Desmond Bain, pick and choose. But the amount of times we've seen somebody just step up for the Magic and have an incredible game while everybody else can't score a bucket to save their life. It's always a different star, but the problem with them is they never seemed consistently to get everybody stepping up to be the best they could be. 2 or 3 guys this game, 2 or 3 guys the next game. You need them all giving you everybody's got a characteristic that they were brought there for. Something that says, this is what I'm really good at. And every night out there, be who you are. Be the best you can be. And if you're doing that, if all 5 starters and the top 3 or 4 subs are being the best that they can be, doing all that you brought them there to do, you have a chance to win night in and night out.
Well, this goes back to, hey, guess what? You were the 8th seed. Okay, the bigger one people should be complaining about is Boston. Boston was the 2 seed. Okay, the 2 seed, and also blew the 3-1 series lead. I know they lost Tatum, but boo-hoo. The Magic lost Franz Wagner, right? The whole thing is, look, and you know what? I didn't watch any of the games last night. I'm still a little angry by the Magic. I know game 2's tonight with Spurs and Timberwolves and everything. It's going to be great. And
hey, but also look, here's tonight. The Sixers are playing tonight, right? The first game tonight, the Knicks and the Sixers. And Nick Nurse, an old friend of mine that I've coached against in my career. I mean, look at him in the post game the other day. You think Jamahl Mosley had a bad second half in game 6 at home? How about the Sixers in game 1 in New York at Madison Square Gardens get beat by 39 points? They look like they didn't belong. Now, again, remember, they're the 7 seed. So they played like a 7 seed in game 1.
Yes.
The Magic never played like an 8 seed until it got to game 6. The second half, not even the first half, the second half of game 6 is when the 8 seed Magic finally showed up. Because prior to that, they were the team we hadn't seen all year. They were playing like a top 4 seed in the first 5 games of the Pistons series. But unfortunately, the 8 seed Magic showed up in the second half, especially the fourth quarter of game 6 at home. And that destroyed their chances in the NBA playoffs, and it cost Jamahl Mosley his job.
Okay. I have something to say to you real quick. All right. If I'm the San Antonio Spurs, get rid of that ridiculous court. Okay.
You know what it looks like? You know what it looks like? It looks like when you go to Publix and you're looking for chips and dip, and you go to get the bag of chips, the biggest Publix bag you can find with the ugliest marketing on it, the most colorful, ugliest marketing campaign.
Yes.
Those have got to be good chips. And you buy that. It looks like a bag of potato chips on a basketball floor.
When Tim Duncan was dominating, they didn't have that ridiculous court. Okay. They did not. And then 2, I know Wemby had like the craziest triple-double where he had like 12 blocks or something. No.
Let's talk about that.
I need, for Wemby tonight, I need 25 to 30 points.
Let's talk about this.
All right, go for it.
Whatever happened to big men deciding that, you know what? I'm the tallest guy on the floor. From 3 feet in, I own this building. But Wemby sat out there and went 0 for 8 from three-point land. He said, no, I'm a shooting guard. I'm a point guard who can shoot the three. And granted, he has made some threes. He's okay out there. But in this game, here's the point, Mark. They lost by 2 points, 104 to 102. 2 points, while he goes 0 for 8 from the three-point line. You talk about, we talk about Mosley making decisions to do things different. Why didn't the Spurs, they got 19 assistant coaches. Why didn't one of those assistant coaches pull him aside during a timeout and say, hey, Victor, you're the biggest guy on the court. If you go stand under the basket, we will throw it up to you. You will get a dunk. You will make an alley-oop. You will posterize somebody, or you're going to get fouled. You will make some free throws, Victor. They lost by 2 points. 0 for 8. Take those 8 possessions, put him under the basket. I guarantee you, over half of those possessions end up in field goals made or free throws attempted. The 0 for 8, if I'm Chris Finch and the Minnesota Timberwolves, every time he's standing out there shooting a three, I'm going, yay! Our defensive strategy is working. Let him shoot threes because he's not going to beat us. He might make 1 or 2. He's not going to win the game out there. And that's my feeling on that.
I agree. What do you have, 12 points? Look, you got Gobert. I'm telling Gobert, you beat the hell out of that Wemby. I beat the hell out. Put the elbow in his back. Whatever you got to do to make his life. I don't care about scoring from you, Gobert. You're a 4-time defensive player of the year. Start beating up that alien.
But remember.
What?
But remember, these 2 guys are friends.
I don't care. No.
Rudy Gobert is Victor Wembanyama's mentor. They're both Frenchmen. They both play for France, the national team of France. They have worked out together hundreds of times representing their nation. I saw the funniest team photograph online this week of the French team and the team photo, standing on the back line, Rudy Gobert in the center of the back line, and standing to his right was Victor Wembanyama, right? And they were standing there, and a photographer caught the picture from another angle and circled it with red pen, where you could see the feet of the guys on the second row. And Rudy Gobert was standing on his tiptoes as they took the photo. And he had told Victor, I'm Rudy Gobert. You're a young kid. This is my team, not yours yet. And guess what Victor was doing? His knees were bent and he was scooching down. So Gobert on his toes would be the tallest guy on the French team in the back row.
Oh my God. I'm going to say this right now because I know, look, you got your Timberwolves thing on right now, your shirt, because I know it's your boys, the coach. Let me just say something. Tonight's going to be interesting because if San Antonio comes out and blows them out, they'll send the message. That was a fluke game 1. But Minnesota's got to play tough for 4 quarters. I think Minnesota's got this feeling like, hey, we can win this series after what we did. That's why tonight's going to be interesting.
I think you're right. I think it's the best series right now of the 4 series.
Yeah.
It's the most exciting series to watch. You've got the French center story with Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama, but you also have the storyline of the next young face of the NBA in Anthony Edwards, the Ant-Man. And he's been out with an injury, but he comes back in game one of this series, they won the previous series without Anthony Edwards. They didn't have their superstar. So there's another part that comes in. I think the toughness level of the Timberwolves stepped up big time against the Nuggets. When you saw Nikola Jokic chase down Jaden McDaniels and bully him and chest him, and McDaniels grabbed Jokic's jersey and pulled him into his face. And it's like, I ain't going anywhere. And you saw a toughness begin to evolve. And it was not the big name guys, so to speak. It was the second tier guys. Look at the guys there for the Timberwolves who stepped up big time in that series, offensively and defensively. And if you look, another guy there that was almost hidden at the end of their bench by the water cooler toward the end of the regular season, some games seeing 0 minutes court time as the season was winding down and they needed to win games, a guy named Terrence Shannon Jr. And now in the first 2 games he started in the playoffs, he's averaging over 20 points a game. But I remember that same Terrence Shannon Jr. not sitting at the end of a bench, not guarding the water bucket by the team managers. I remember him starting for a Big Ten team in a Big Ten tournament a couple of years ago that he averaged over 30 points a game in the Big Ten conference tournament and dropped 40 against a really good Nebraska team. So this guy's ready for his time to shine in the NBA. He's that young buck that's sort of right there behind Anthony Edwards, but just about ready to be standing out there beside the Ant-Man as Batman and Robin. Terrence Shannon Jr. has shown the world, put me on the court, give me my minutes, I'm going to score points for you. And I think he's going to be the X factor in this series. I know Chris Finch very, very well. They're going to try to play defense every night. They did a great job defending Nikola Jokic, who I think is the MVP of the NBA, even again this year. I think he should be a 5-time MVP. But the Timberwolves did a great job of slowing him down, taking Tim out of the game where he wasn't the factor that was going to beat them in that series. So they did a great job with Jokic. Obviously, it also helped that Aaron Gordon was out a couple of games in that series with injury. That hurt too. But I thought defensively, the Timberwolves did a great job on a great player. Now, here we go, next game. And what helps them in this series, Mark? They did a great job with Rudy Gobert on Nikola Jokic. The big man matchup, Rudy Gobert did a great job. What do we got now? Big man matchup, Rudy Gobert and Victor Wembanyama. Maybe, just maybe, Victor went 0 for 8 from 3 because he was a little hesitant taking it to the rack against the league, one of the league's all-time great shot blockers in Rudy Gobert.
All right. I think we got it all off our chest. Okay. Sir, his name is Billy Mims. We're going to find out tonight with the games. Thank you so much for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you later. All right.
Thanks, Mark.